All right. Good evening, REIPro family. My name is Bo Manry, and I'd like to welcome you to the July 16th live Q&A session with myself and my business partner, Chris Goff. Now, as always, we've got some great questions that came in this week, and we got some good answers for you tonight. And time permitting, we're going to take some live questions at the end. So go ahead and open up that Q&A panel so you're ready to type in those questions, anytime that you feel like you need to, or any question that might come up. Now, if you're here for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. These sessions are all about education and sharing knowledge, so we're glad you're here to participate. One thing I want to share with you guys, if you haven't had a chance to go out and watch this film, it was a documentary that Chris and I were executive producers on. It's called The Folds of Honor. This is a great film. You can catch it on Amazon Prime. There's Chris and I with Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. He is the founder of the Folds of Honor. And this is an organization that takes care of the kids and the spouses of fallen soldiers and severely disabled soldiers. 9 out of 10 kids don't get any kind of support for college. And this is where the Folds of Honor steps in and really takes care of these kids. So I encourage you to go watch this. It's just really a great film here.
Hey, you see my hat?
Yeah, Folds of Honor right there.
Sure. I just got this in today, Bo.
Did you?
It was pretty cool. They have this Patriot Golf Day they do once a year. It's supposedly the most heroic golf day. And you have to donate at least $1. And they had like 3,300 clubs participate. And they had this like patriotic golf goodie bag, and I was like, oh, I got to get one of those. And it had this hat in it. So I was like, me, I love hats. So almost every time you probably see me on camera, I probably have a hat on. So
and I'm the one that's bald up here, you see right here.
That's okay. I have a little bit, but not much. So but yeah, definitely check it out. If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch this. It's included with Amazon Prime, and we'd love to hear a review from you. So
perfect.
So this is cool. This is new. Nobody knows about this. You guys are the first to see this. Next week, what we're going to do, instead of the normal Q&A, you're actually going to submit some deals that you're working on. And we're going to analyze the deal live. So I'm only allowing REIPro users to submit the deals, but I'm going to invite some of the public members and followers. I have like 12 meetup clubs across the country, and invite them to watch. But only REIPro subscribers are actually going to be able to submit any kind of deals. Now, here's the thing. What we want to do is tomorrow, I would say probably, Bo, you said maybe before lunch sometime?
Yeah, sometime around lunch.
We're going to post a new banner on the dashboard, and it's going to take you to inside of REIPro, and it's going to look a little bit different. We're going to change it up just a little bit, because here's what I'm thinking, guys. If you guys like this, and I mean, why wouldn't you? We're going to go over real deals, but I would almost want to do this occasionally, maybe once a month or something like that, where we can actually put together real deals, create some multiple offers. Now, here's the thing. You got to attend. So when you fill out, the information, you'll have some input boxes, property address. Tell us about the deal, any kind of numbers you know about it. That would be helpful. And then when we go live next week at 8 o'clock, you have to attend it, because we're going to unmute you. And because I already know we're going to have some questions for you, no matter what you send us. So it's almost going to be like, man, this is going to be like a coaching session where we're just going to work the deal together, and everyone's going to watch it. And then as soon as we get through that deal, we're going to move to the next one. We're going to get as many as we can within, obviously a certain amount of time. But I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be extremely educational, because I just, coaching people for so long, I kind of know what people go through and what questions you're going to have. But you also may not be asking the right questions with the seller. And this is going to be a good session where I could be like, okay, I hear what they said, but how did they say it? And that's something I might have to ask you while we're doing the presentation. So if we get on and we say, hey, we're going to do this deal from Juan, and Juan's not on, we're going to move to the next person. So FYI, if you submit a deal, make sure you attend for us to review it. So anything else on that, Bo? Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I just know, I see the chats a lot when we're doing these, and people do want to analyze some of these deals. And sometimes they throw these elaborate things out there, and every once in a while we just can't get to it because it's going to be a really long answer. So this is going to be fun. I'm gonna look forward to this one.
And if it works out and everybody loves it, then we're going to do it again, and we'll keep doing it as long as you guys like it. So, all right. Are we ready?
I think we're ready. Let me,
hopefully we're ready.
I think so. I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here because I know we're going to need to get into this. All right.
Ooh, if you guys missed it, we were doing a presentation last night for the Los Angeles REIA, and I don't know, what time did we end? What time?
Oh gosh, it was about midnight or so.
Yeah, it was. That was
midnight.
A long presentation, but if you didn't make that, that was actually posted on Facebook. We didn't really tell anyone else about it, but anyways. We're going to get to these questions. We actually have a lot of good ones tonight. Couple of them just like, okay. So let's get into it.
All right, let's do this. All right, first one from Dr. Jean said, greetings. Do I need an LLC to get started? Can I use an LLC with a land trust or an LLC with a Roth IRA? Thanks for your future answers.
Well, I can tell you, I didn't have an LLC when I got started. I did 46 deals before my attorney said you need a LLC. So obviously I wasn't buying anything or putting anything in my name. And I think that's kind of what I don't want, Bo, is people to think, oh my gosh, I got to go do this. I have to go set up this business before I can really make any money. And that would be false unless you're going to buy the property and put it in your name. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just obviously putting it in a company name, there's benefits to doing that. If you're going to wholesale or control property like lease options, go do a few deals and then go get the LLC. I always say, what do we need to do to just go make some money first? Because money will take care of, your LLCs, your marketing, so many other things that contribute to this business. That's how I am. I'm just like, let's just get the knowledge and let's go do a deal, make some money. Now, as far as the LLC and land trust, here's what I personally would recommend. But again, I would want you to go to your real estate attorney or accountant. Any property you have should have a separate land trust, because what you don't want to do, and a lot of people do this, but what you don't want to do, my personal opinion, is put all your eggs in one basket. So now your LLC could own all of these different trusts. But again, it's kind of like putting everything in one basket. So I wouldn't really recommend doing that. I would try to keep everything separate. Just think of it that way. As far as the Roth IRA, I've never even had one. So we actually have another question down the line. I know Bo's got some experience with this, but I don't work with Roth IRAs. So I'm not really the person to ask. Obviously, we do have some resources and we know some people that do this. And Bo's going to share some of that information in another question. So just hang tight on that one. I think I got it all.
I think you did. All right. So next question from Todd. Says, hi guys, first, your support staff is wonderful and always willing to help. We appreciate you giving us that little thumbs up there. I live in a smaller area in North Carolina, and I've tried to filter the distance to increase the miles for the comparison calculator. The filter lets me slide the bar to increase the mile search, but it doesn't expand the search area when it gives me the results. Thanks. Todd, I have had no reports of it not working. So I went out there today to check on this. And, sometimes you may need to play around with this, especially if you're maybe in some type of smaller area, rural area where a lot of sales are not happening. Now, to make sure this worked, what I had to do, excuse me, in our area, there's a lot of activity going on. So I moved the distance out 6 or 8 miles, but I still had too many results. We returned the first 20 results that are the closest proximity to the subject property. And so then what I had to do is I had to reduce the sales period when it last sold. I reduced it down to 3 months, and then I reduced it down to 1 month. And I was able to get results that were 4, 5, and 6 miles away. So, you may have to play with those sliders a little bit more to expand that result, but you can go all the way up to, I believe it's 20 miles. But if you're still having a problem, put in that support ticket, let it get to our desk. And I just need to know the exact area so I can see why it's not working for you, but I don't have any reports at this time of it not working for anybody else.
Yeah, you don't want to go too far.
No, you don't want to go too far. You really want to stay close, but
keep that in mind.
I just want to make sure it was actually working. I could get past, a mile or two. I got all the way out to 6 miles and saw results coming back. Then I had to zoom the map out so I could see the map. They were kind of a little bit further out. Okay, coming from Brad. Hey guys, can you talk about your follow-up system for active leads? I'm trying to balance too much versus not enough. I don't want to be a pest, but I want to stay on top of their mind. Just wondering how y'all think about it, that as I'm unsure if it varies depending on the situation. Thanks.
Well, hey, Brad, how's it going? Number one, yes, it does. But let me give you just some fundamental follow-up pieces that I like to do. Number one, I like to pick 1 day a week. It doesn't matter. To me, it's usually a Monday, but ultimately it doesn't matter what day it is. And I like to just say that's my admin day. And that's a day that I'm going to follow up with things. I'm going to do direct mail campaigns. I'm going to do any kind of marketing, anything that doesn't make me get out of the office to go find something, unless I have a scheduled appointment or something like that. So pick 1 day a week, I think, and just call it the admin day. And this is a day for you to organize your leads, to stay on top, follow up, whatever you may need to do. So Bo, if you wouldn't mind, just click on properties and you can go to any property. It doesn't matter. Just go to the first one. I think we actually pulled this property last night. And you already have a follow-up date. And I think this is, what we're going to show you here as soon as it loads. So if you scroll down to the follow-up button, number one, so Bo's already got a follow-up. It would say follow-up if you didn't have a date selected, and you can go in there and actually change the date from a follow-up point of view. Now, this does depend. Is it a follow-up because they just weren't motivated and I'm following up with them at a later date to see if they've changed their mind, number one? Or am I following up with this property from, hey, the seller just said, call me back, they were busy? Or is it, as you can see, could be a lot of reasons why we're following up. But let me kind of give you just a general point of view here. This is what I like to do. I don't know if it's what other people do, but let's just say that I'm driving for dollars. I want to just give one example here. And I go pull up, find several properties. I'll come to REIPro. The very first thing that I do is go to the quick property lookup. I'll type in the address. I'll see if the owner actually lives there or not. And if they don't live there, I'm going to go ahead and identify this property as something I need to research. I need to call. I need to do something with, because my first approach when I'm driving for dollars and I only have a few properties is I want to try to call them first. I don't really put, if I find 30 deals and maybe 15 of them are actually non-owner occupied, I'm really only talking about 15 properties here to reach out to. So it's not that many. It's a little bit different if you're just doing it in bulk. So what happens is I will try to get their phone number. And if I can't get their phone number, this is where the follow-up really comes in. I personally like, if you go to lead status and click on that little pencil icon, I actually like to create my own custom one here that says I'm going to send some type of marketing campaign, either it be a letter or a postcard. Okay, so I can't get a hold of them on the phone. I immediately think I need to put this in a direct mail campaign. I'm going to print a letter or send a postcard. So you can create your own custom statuses here, and I would create a custom status that says, you know, I'm going to move this to a direct mail campaign. I sent a letter. You could create one that says I sent a postcard. Then I'm going to forget about it. I'm going to move to the next property. I'm going to go to quick property lookup. I'm going to see if they live there or not. I'm going to search their phone number. Again, if I get their phone number, I'm going to go to step 2 and I'm going to call them. If not, I'm going to do this exact same thing. So when I come back, once I'm done with that, when I come back, Bo, if you go back to your properties page where the list of all your properties, number one, you could filter this list down based on the status, as well as if you go to, yeah, you don't have to actually do that, but, and then go to the results setting and actually click the follow-up. So depending on how you want to use this particular follow-up, there you go. You could do it this way as well. Okay, so then I'm going to send out this direct mail marketing campaign because I couldn't get a hold of them on the phone. I'm going to send out a marketing campaign. Now what I'm going to do is set a reminder to follow up with that campaign. So now that I've got a bunch of deals together, I'm going to set a reminder to follow up in the next 30 days, because if I haven't heard from any of those owners, I'm going to market them again. Okay, so using follow-ups and creating a basic follow-up system is going to be so unique, I think, to the situation, like you said, what you're doing in the business, and what kind of follow-up do you want to do. So I kind of sprinkled a couple of different ways to do that. So hopefully that might give you a good idea. And normally what I'll do is I'll market them 3 times. Okay, then I'm moving on because I got bigger and better things to do. I got to find, if you're always cycling and going through leads, this will never end, the lead stuff. So I've always got these campaigns going over here. I'm finding new leads over here, and I'm monitoring with reminders that you could set on your dashboard. You could set on individual properties and so forth. So hopefully that gave you a couple of ideas there. I like to do it simple. And again, this would be different, Bo, if they were doing something more in bulk. But again, setting a reminder about the campaign to me is important.
Yep. And, you know, when you set those reminders in the system, it shows up on that calendar on your dashboard. You can have it automatically send you a text message about that campaign and so on.
Yeah, go to the dashboard real quick and show them. So if you scroll down here, you can see Bo tests a lot because he's a programmer. So you can actually click that little, oh, you could click in the calendar too, but just pop up the, I want to set a reminder box here. So basically, I'm really just setting a reminder for myself about this campaign to follow up in another 30 days. Okay, and I'll do 60 days. You could do 90 days. And then depending on how you want to be notified, you could do that as well. Now, if I keep doing this, it doesn't always fall on a Monday, but I know that the cycle I keep doing this, I'm going to get in a routine where I'm not thinking about what I have to be doing. How do I follow up? Because now the system's kind of built. And I think if we can follow a system, then it's a lot easier to do the business. So
perfect.
All right.
All right. So next question from Ron. My business name is A to Z Wholesalers Incorporated. When buying a property sub 2, will the bank call the loan due on sale if they start seeing checks coming from A to Z Wholesalers Incorporated all of a sudden?
Well, I can tell you every seller finance, which include all the pre-foreclosure deals, it went into a company name, not in the beginning, but when I got smart. And not one bank has ever called the loan due. Could they call the loan due? Sure. Does it happen? No. It's extremely rare. I have 7 attorneys. Not one attorney has ever had the bank actually call the loan due on any clients. Now, I have heard of FHA loans a couple of times actually called. I don't know what the situation was, but I have heard an FHA loan called due because of that. But other than that, I've doing just over 200 of these, not one time. It doesn't mean they won't. But at the end of the day, if they did, I would refinance the property. I would do something creative with it and hurry up and get unloaded or something. But
well, Chris, they really don't want the property back to begin with.
No, it's people have to realize it's like, if Bo deeds me the property, no matter if I put it in, what was it, AZ Wholesalers Incorporated, and I start sending the check from AZ Wholesalers Incorporated, that the person on the other end doesn't go, whoa, wait a second. Bo Manry owns this house, but I keep getting this check from A to Z Wholesalers Incorporated. We must investigate this. No, what are they doing? They're just simply cashing the checks, because you have to keep in mind, it's a process company. They don't even want the property back. And the person that's depositing the check doesn't even know. That's all they do. They wouldn't even know that it would be any different or not. So, it's like if you made I always use the example in our live events that if I paid a payment for my mom. Now, my mom has a different last name. Was divorced when I was 5 and got remarried. Has been married ever since. So if I made a payment for her, maybe she was on vacation, forgot, something happened. They're not going to call the loan due because they get a check from me, right? So just keep that in mind. Could it happen? Sure. It's not profitable. The banks don't want it. As long as there's on-time payments, you should be very good.
Okay, next question from Todd. I've been wholesaling for 3 years, marketing exclusively to vacant homes in the $30,000 to $150,000, and I'm doing well with this strategy. I'm looking to expand into another strategy, and I'm asking what a good next step might be. I see many categories under the REIPro tab, and I wonder what might be good to try in addition to my current marketing. I'm in Central North Carolina. Thanks for your continued help, Todd.
Yeah, well, one strategy would be a lease option, number one. So, and one of the great things about a lease option is how we market them. So, Bo, if you go to REIPro, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you one way to do it. So, I love going to absentee owners, number one. So, I would go to absentee owners and just pick anywhere, Bo. It doesn't matter. Because the example that I'm going to show you, you could apply this to anywhere. Now, when I get this list of leads, go down, and again, you're going to put in your price point, which you explained. But the one thing I want you to focus on is the equity. Okay, so minimum equity. I want you to think about when we buy properties with a lease option, we could technically pay up to full price for the property. Okay, not that we want to, but we can. And how many investors actually market properties that have little equity? Like nobody markets them. And that's why I like using this potential equity and saying, okay, hey, maybe I'm only going to go from 10 to 30% equity. Now, that's not a lot of equity. And I can tell you, every wholesaler would not even market this deal because they couldn't buy it. They'd owe too much generally on the property. Now, if I apply just even that basic filter, I'm going to get, a reduced number of leads. These leads right here, and they don't have to be in like thousands, because technically, I mean, how many deals can you do you want to do? And so you really just need one. Then one turns into 2. So I would market this. Now, from a postcard point of view, I have my favorite postcard just for this. Bo, if you wouldn't mind just moving on over, I want to show everybody exactly the postcard that I would use in this scenario, which we're going to go down to general. And it's general number 3, which is cash or term. So to me, this is the card that you'd want to use because you could wholesale it from the cash point of view, again, depending on the equity, or you buy it on terms, and that sets up perfect for a lease option. This card right here, I would say, is one of the number one cards for properties that have little equity. And this is the card that I would recommend, that I recommend to all my students and so forth, which I couldn't tell you how many deals we've done with that card, but there's been a lot of money made on that single card right there. So I would highly recommend that card. So it was kind of a two-part question to me. It was, how do I branch out of, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, but I want to, do something else as well. Lease options would be one way of doing that. And that's how I'd market it. And that's the postcard that I would use.
And I just love lease options. So that'd be the next good one to, something you get in that without even no money down, instead of having to have access to money, seller financing and fixing flips and other strategies. So get really good at the lease options would be great.
Yeah. And if you're in Texas, instead of a lease option, you would do a seller finance.
Okay. Next question from, I think it's Andre. Is there a mentor program to help a newbie get started?
It's like Andrea, right?
Andrea. Hopefully it's one of those two.
Those of you that don't really, or haven't followed me for quite some time, our coaching's been shut down for, I don't know, 6 months, maybe somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. We do offer some personal coaching. We don't do group coaching. We don't do all that crazy nonsense. When you work with us, it's like this right here. Like we're talking just me and you, and we're going to analyze, we're going to walk you through the process. To me, it's the fastest way to get anywhere. You got to take someone else's experience, take the knowledge, you apply that, and you move forward. To me, it's a simple concept. Obviously, there is a cost to doing business, just really for my time. I always tell people, coaching to me, and I've coached a lot of people, and Bo can tell you, Bo was a student of mine.
2008?
Back in 2008. So, and now we're business partners. So how cool is that? But teaching so many people in the past, it is different than what people think. It's not quite, people are like, oh, I don't know. It's like I always say, you can't get over the hump, number one. And then once you get over the hump, it's like, why haven't I done this in years? I'm so crazy to do it. Obviously, financially, you've got to be in a position to be a part of it. We do offer a few different programs. I will tell you this, if you're interested, you can email us at coaching@myreipro.com. And I'll be happy to send you over some of the bullet points. I'll tell you the cost. We're very straight up. Here's what it is. And we'll go from there. So coaching@myreipro.com.
All right. Question from Randy. When acquiring property, should you be the trustee or the beneficiary? Also, is it a good idea to have your Roth IRA as the beneficiary of trust and your LLC as the beneficiary in the Roth IRA? Well, the first thing I'd say, Randy, is I'd advise you get with your accountant or a tax professional because you want to make sure you get all this set up correctly. Now, personally, I have used my IRAs and set them up in a self-directed IRA fashion. I have done both rentals, investments, as well as I've done fix and flips, and as well as I've done hard money lending. Now, that's the beauty of a self-directed IRA is you can pretty much do whatever you want to do, okay? Now, I have used two different companies over the years. One of them is called Equity Trust Company. We actually got to sit down with them at mid-year for the National REIA last year and talk to them a lot. And it's kind of funny. I was like, hey, I was a client of yours at one time and been them doing the business a long time. They're very reputable. So you might want to check them out. And then I've used another one called IRA Financial Group, but you're going to have somebody that's really experienced in setting this stuff up to get it right. There are a lot of laws around how you do deals, wrapping this in some type of a retirement account. So make sure you know what you're doing from that point of view. And that's what they're there for. They're there to help guide you and make sure you don't do things incorrectly. So get with one of those two companies, and then they can help you set all of that structure up for doing deals. And now the beauty of that is you can make a ton of money in real estate, and all the profits, everything you make is going to flow right back into that IRA. So you're not really benefiting from it today, but you can make a lot more money into your retirement account than, say, maybe just put it into a mutual fund, for example. And then of course you're taxed later, just like any other IRA or whatever, when you start taking the money out. So unless it's a Roth, that's a little bit different. So
do you want to go to their website, Bo, just to show people, like Bo said, we actually have met these people seem awesome. And Bo has actually used them. So,
yeah,
they're a pretty big company too.
Yeah, there they are right there. That's their logo, Equity Trust Company.
Yep, there you go.
Founded in 1974. So it's trustetc.com. All right. Jeremiah, new to wholesaling. And my question is, would it be recommended to build a buyer's list before or while finding your first deal?
So let's just say you're one of my coaching students right now. Absolutely not. Do not go find any buyers right now. Your job, go find the property. If you want me to talk like, hey, I want to tell you what sounds good, then, oh, you should always have your buyers list. You need to go get these buyers. It's just crazy to me, Bo, that people do this. Not that this person is, and there's no, Jeremiah, this is not on you here, buddy, but I see so many people, they start backwards, and I always say start right. Go find the deals, because I was always told if you go find the deals at the right numbers, there's always a buyer. And I've just a firm believer of doing that. I've experienced that, done it numerous times. Go find the deal. Take the time to find the deals first, because I found my very first wholesale deal that I made $4,000 on. It took me 3 months to do this deal. Of course, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I didn't know how to inspect. I filled out the contract wrong. I totally screwed the pooch on this one, but we actually closed it, which shocked me that it actually went through. When I advertised that one property, I had 4 investors call. And I already know that there's only one buyer. But what about the other 3? It just wasn't what they wanted to pay, wasn't what they were looking for. So I took down their information. So the very next property that I found, I called all 4. And then I marketed it. Then I got like more investors. I literally built my investors list just by finding and putting houses under contract. If I'm coaching you, that's what I'm going to tell you to do, because I think you're probably wasting your time finding buyers when you don't even have a property. Now, with that being said, should you network with other people? Absolutely. Tell people, hey, I'm out in the market all the time finding great deals. Can I pass my business card on to you and contact you? Sure, go ahead. Can I get yours? Absolutely do those things. But don't feel that it's necessary to do that. I'd rather you spend your time finding the deal. To me, that's the key.
Yeah, I did. That's kind of funny you said that. I did the exact same thing. I actually had a guy that was moving into the area. I was actually running some advertising on Google, and he drove all the way up or flew up, and we went and had coffee. And the one house I had, lease option at the time, wasn't what he was looking for. But hey, we had coffee, and next thing you know, I got exactly what he was looking for, and I went and found him a house. And that was because he saw my ad on another house that I was doing. So I think once you just get out there and get in the business, it just starts happening. Okay, Alfred, on the map in REIPro, where do you get the estimated property values from? Or how do you get them? Or are there some type of calculations involved in getting those numbers? All right, let me go to a property just so that I can show everybody what you're referring to. And then I'm going to tell you kind of where this comes from. It is a rather complicated formula that's going on behind the scenes, but Alfred's talking about this map right here, and I'm going to expand it and blow it up a little bit. And all the neighbors' values, here's the subject property, but all these values of all the neighbors, wants to know where's that coming from. Now, this is the REIPro value. It's also the same estimated value that we have here. These are calculated every 30 days. and we're pulling like kind property. Like kind meaning same bedroom, bathroom, square foot, and sometimes if we have the amenities like whether it has a pool or not, we're using everything we have at our disposal under the hood, taking all these formulas into consideration, the areas, and this is calculated every 30 days. So the beauty of this new map is now I can see the neighborhood values around it, make sure they're all within the same thing. You don't have one that's really jacked up. Of course, you can click on these to get more detail with this interactive map. So that's where the estimated value's coming from. It's the like kind properties and the recent sales, and it's done in a 30-day window.
Yeah, and if you click that link, Bo, we do have a description. People can go in and read this too. The good, the better, the best type of thing. Everybody has a formula. So it's like, where's this one created? So, but that was good.
Okay. Next question from, I'm going to say it's Yannick. Hopefully I got your name right there. I started my free trial about a week ago. I love this software. I'm glad you love it. Should I create an entity before making an offer to a seller? I'm new to this business. I would love to have a mentor guide me with my first deal. I don't mind if you require a commission fee. I just need help with my first deal. When I would say as far as, having to create that entity, I would say, you should, but it's not necessarily required to get your first deal done. Kind of like what Chris was referring to a while ago, depending on the strategy. Now, if you're going to be getting the deed, if you're doing seller financing, or maybe you're doing a rehab, having that entity, yes, you need to have that, especially if you're doing a rehab, because look, the main reason of setting up a entity and LLC, a lot of it's for asset protection, but it's also for the tax benefits and what you're going to be able to write off as well. Is it required to do it under certain cases? No, under others, but you should do it. Now, as far as the mentorship, I think Chris talked about that a little bit earlier. You can email us coaching at myreipro.com. I will say that we don't do any kind of commission splits or commissions or splits on any kind of deals. I know Chris in the past has said he's tried that and really winds up doing 100% of the work for 50% of the money, and the student learned nothing. So that's just not something that we do in that fashion.
Nope, I don't do that.
Been there, done that, huh?
Hey, if you won't get off the couch, I ain't getting off the couch, right? I mean, it's one of those. So no, you get 100% of the deals. You're going to pay for your education, though. You're going to pay for our time, and that's basically how it works.
All right. Next question from Mark. Best source to get full title snapshot of the property, including the deeds, the county land records, tax liens on the federal or the state level, divorce cases, bankruptcy court records, or other financial judgments against an owner that could potentially attach to the property. The first part is my question, and the second below, what I'm adding to the seller buyer package. I'm adding the document to be signed by the seller acknowledging regarding the liens, including the last 200 days, might not be recorded yet, errors and omission compliance agreements and clerical errors, and a bunch of buyer's disclosures. Learn from you more of them or better protection. Thanks. Ooh, that was a mouthful there. I would say, look, if you're trying to get all this information in a complete package, every type of lien that can be on the property and judgments and all this stuff, I would recommend getting with your attorney or a title company, have them do a full title search. That's what they do, especially if you're trying to wrap this all up as a one single source. Now, I know you can go down to the recorder's office and manually pull all this stuff. Some of it can be done inside of REIPro, but there's certain types of, filed liens that are not necessarily fed to us, like a mechanic's lien and so on. But if you need a single source, the best place would be going to that title company.
Which, don't think you need to do that before the deal happens. Like, I need to make sure that this is going to be a deal. Then I'd probably do that extensive research. I wouldn't do all that. I was telling Bo today, I've not done that one time. Not one time out of 500 deals. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Doesn't mean, it just, you got to have a good purpose to do it.
Dr. Gene, greetings, guys. I am a newbie. What is the best and the fastest way to get started? Do I have to start without an LLC and the protections later? Or if not, what is the cheapest way to get started? And I already subscribe to REIPro, which I like so much. I already know my strategies because I did a lot of reading and following a bunch of you guys, especially your teaching. Please help me. I might need a mentor, but not for the time being. When the time comes, it'll be you because I really like your simplicity. You know, we're getting a lot of questions tonight from people I think who are new and really probably confused about whether you set these LLCs and these entities up. So it's
I think we answered
new.
the LLC up already.
Yeah.
I think we already answered that for everyone.
Yep.
As far as the LLC part of that particular question, what is the fastest way? Taking action.
I was like, get off the couch is what I was going to say, but.
I mean, as far as like a strategy, I would say wholesaling is the easiest one to learn. It's generally fairly quick. That would be, it's very low risk. But again, I think just taking action on any of the properties, sometimes just talking to the neighbor. I mean, it could be that simple. Just tell people what you do. Hey, I'm looking to buy some deals in the area. Do you know of anybody selling? And sometimes just starts to happen and starts to, come together. As far as like needing a coach and stuff like that, I always tell people don't create the bad habits first, because everyone always does before they get somewhat help. But I think from just getting out and doing a deal, let's go make some money. Wholesaling to me would be the fastest because I think it's the easiest to learn. And I would start there.
All right. So last question from Alfred, and then we're going to take a few live questions. When working with a probate property owner, is it still a good idea to say that we'll pay all the closing costs when they have an attorney working on their behalf?
I think it's a good idea to, if you do any deal, I think it's a good idea to pay closing costs depending on where you live. So like, we offered to pay, one of the rehabs that we did there in Peachtree City, we paid the closing cost. And even though the closing cost was, I forget how much it was, Bo, it was not much.
Well, I think you were shocked when you came from Texas because I think the closing costs were $400, maybe $500.
It was dirt cheap. So what I do, if you just forget about probate for a second, just think of any cash deal, wholesaling. If you just include that in your calculations of how you make an offer, you just go whatever you normally could offer and say, okay, the closing costs are going to be that much, then just subtract it from your offer and say, hey, that's how much I'm going to offer. And that's with me paying all the closing costs. So if you could do that, I would do that on almost every deal. I think anytime that you take the burden away from the seller paying for something, they're more likely to say yes. So I'm going to just keep it at that, because to me, if you can do it, don't think, just include it in your calculation and then you'll be fine.
Well, I mean, just the fact that you tell the seller as part of the offer, like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take care of all the closing costs. I mean, that's, even if it's something small, it's just the fact that you said it. It's building that layer of trust already because you're not nitpicking them.
Yeah, and the attorney to me is just any kind of cost that you're going to work in probate. If it's the attorneys, allow up to a certain dollar amount for it and include that in your offer. So whatever your maximum offer, without adjusting it from whatever that, cost is going to be, just subtract it from that and say, that's what I can pay. I can pay up to this amount. You can also do that in a way, if you're in a really expensive area and you just can't get the numbers to work that way, just say you'll pay up to a certain dollar amount in closing costs. It could be $5,000, it could be $10,000, whatever it may be, but up to, and then calculate that in your offer.
Want to take some live questions?
Yep, let's take a few. Unfortunately, guys, I do have to run here in about 15 minutes. A lot of you, well, none of you actually do know, but my wife has she's had a loss of hearing for forever, as Bo knows. And she had to go up to Nashville yesterday because she's actually getting a cochlear implant. So they had the normal appointment yesterday, and then they'll schedule out the surgery here in the next several weeks. So I've got to go pick her up, unfortunately, from the airport. So unfortunately, I got to leave you guys, but let's take as many questions as we can.
All right. When doing a short sale, my understanding is that the bank does not allow the seller to walk away with money from the purchase. So what workaround could I do to give the owner money to move and a small amount after I resell the property?
You want me to give you the short and dirty answer? You could technically have an agreement outside of closing that they get paid X dollar amount. But I would do more like a moving expense. That's how I would do it. Like, you know, hey, I'm going to give you up to X amount for moving expense, which is outside of closing, obviously, guys. Okay.
Jonathan, how hard is it to do creative financing on an FHA and a HUD deal like a sub 2 or a lease option deal?
Let's start with the FHA. Again, I've only heard one time where the FHA has actually come back, but that's just not normal. It's not
normal.
So as far as like the lease options and stuff like that, don't worry about that. You know, FHA will put their stipulation that, hey, as soon as you buy the house or like a VA loan, you can't rent it out until X amount of time. So again, depending on the situation, generally, I think it's 12 months, could be 2 years. I don't recall because most of the sellers that we work with don't have them, but that's what you would do.
All right. Philip wants to know, hey, do you have leads for bankruptcies and divorces? Now, as far as a lead source, Philip, in the REIPro, no. We're always looking for, we have to go on a nationwide scale. Sure, we could go pick certain pockets and get some really good data in certain pockets, but we have to do everything on a nationwide scale. And we haven't found someone that we, on a nationwide scale, want to put in here and put our stamp of approval on it. Now, you can go get that list in your area, and then you can upload that into REIPro, into the marketing campaign section. And from there, you can do everything else from sending postcards, printing letters, doing bulk skip tracing, you know, working the deal. All of that you can do once you acquire that list. You can import it.
Yeah, a lot of people have bankruptcies. It's just we haven't found a reliable source from a nationwide standpoint. So that's really the reason why we don't have it.
Let's see. Alex over here, we got some stuff in the chat panel instead of the Q&A. Do you guys use virtual assistants or any cold call programs? If not, you don't have to reply. Well, see, this is live stuff here. I don't use virtual assistants when I'm doing it. I feel like I can explain it better and qualify the seller. And I just like to get on the phone and talk to people myself. So I'm not using virtual assistants or, you know, cold calling programs. I kind of steer away from any kind of automated dialers just for a lot of the TCPA laws and stuff. Let's see. Alex is saying, why are some properties not listed on REIPro that may be other places? You'd have to send us an address specifically to support it. Maybe it's the way the tax assessor typed it in. Generally, when you're looking up stuff, they have the address certified like the post office does. They run it through what's called a CAS certification. So if you try to spell out street or drive or road, then it may not suggest it in the drop down, but if you did ST, it's probably going to be there. We do have around 155 million properties. So we do cover almost every property. So generally when somebody's having trouble finding it, it's the way they're trying to look it up. If it's a duplex, there's, you know, maybe put in one side of the duplex. That's how the tax assessor maybe recorded it.
Or I've seen, you know what I've seen, Bo, mobile homes where the owner owns the 5-acre, you know, lot, and then he placed mobile homes on it, didn't subdivide it, but now they all have, you know, individual addresses, but technically it's only one piece of property. So the tax assessor is only going to have one address, not all of the individual mailing addresses. So I have seen that as well.
Follow-up question from Phil, wanting to know, like, where can you find some of these bankruptcy and divorce leads from? Let's see. I know I've got an attorney here locally. That does with divorces, and he kind of feeds some of those to me when I'm looking for those deals, but I don't work a lot of the bankruptcy situations.
I can tell you, I've never marketed a bankruptcy or divorce, period. You know how many times I've called and they're going through those two things though? Yep. So I don't actually market them, so I can't really give you any good advice on that.
All right, Michael wants to know, how do I integrate my company website with REIPro to see the incoming leads? Well, Michael, there's a couple of ways. Number one, if you have a Carrot website, we have a direct integration with them. You own your section in Carrot, there's a forms section. If you click on forms, there's a section for REIPro integration with all of the instructions right there, and it's straight direct integration with other. What's that?
I was going to say, a lot of people probably don't know what you mean by Carrot, number one, you know, so
let's just go to carrot.com.
So this is one that obviously you can integrate very quickly.
So I don't know if I can spell.
I think they do. It's on Carrot or something like that as far as their website.
Let's just see. Okay, it's Carrot. I just probably spelled Carrot wrong. So here's a website, carrot.com. I'm actually not on my computer. I could remember my password again and show you exactly where it would be. But Carrot all they do is websites for investors and agents.
Yep.
That's what they specialize in. So if you go here to get your website done, like I said, that has a direct integration. Now, almost any other website has some type of form technology. You know, the forms that you have said enter your name, your property address, your email, and your phone number that's going to send an email to you or put it on a list somewhere. Most all of those form companies have a integration with Zapier. And if you go to your advanced tab in REIPro, you can request an API key. And here's the Zapier integrations. Now they have a free account and they have some paid accounts depending on how many you're doing. We've set up some example templates you can go by. So if your website uses Jot forms or Gravity forms or even simple Excel spreadsheets, you can hook up, this is created an REIPro property lead from a Jot form submission. Jot forms is a large form company, and a lot of websites use Jot forms to put the forms on there. And we've already built the Zap is what they call it. You just kind of fill in the blanks and that'll hook up and come into REIPro. But more so than just leads coming from your website, there's a lot more you can do. Integration with REIPro through Zapier. You can put new subscribers of buyers onto a MailChimp list. You can hook up with Slack. I mean, there's just tons of stuff. There's literally thousands of companies who use Zapier. So if you go to Zapier.
We use Slack as in our company, just so people know. We actually use Slack. It's a great communication tool.
Yep, and if you can go to resources or Zapier, you can go to any one of these things. You can search for certain apps. So if you were just saying even Excel, Microsoft Excel, and it'll show what can I integrate Excel with. And anyway, go check out Zapier because they literally can communicate with thousands of other apps. All right, let me see.
What else we got? Oh, Bo's going to be here another hour, just so everyone knows.
That is probably not true.
No, I'm excited for next week. So we're going to send out more details about next week's webinar tomorrow afternoon through email. We'll make an announcement and stuff like that. So definitely keep an eye out for that. So if you're working a deal, next week is going to be huge. Be sure to hurry up and get your information in. And again, we want to work real deals, not something made up and, hey, here's a scenario. If you're legitimately working a deal, we're going to go through it with you.
Yep. Couple last quick questions for Chris you need to run. Alex wants to know, what does your daily workflow consist of? Well, mine consists of building REIPro, and sometimes I jump in and do deals if it's a screaming deal.
From a real estate point of view, the very first thing that I always focus on, and this was like 200 deals and less. This is all I did. I would literally spend at least 2 days a week finding deals, minimum. When I did it, I started full time. So I was doing it 5 days a week. I knew I had to keep finding deals. And getting out in the market, you'd be so surprised. You will meet your power team over time. You will meet buyers over time. You're going to meet a lot of these things that I think a lot of people try to do in the beginning. Like, I've got to get this set up, and this has got to be right, and that's got to be right. And at the end of the day, I just got in the car and I started driving. And I was driving neighborhoods. Obviously, utilizing REIPro is going to shortcut some of that, but I still would like to get out into the neighborhoods. And I'm learning the marketplace. I think that was a big thing of identifying what I call an A neighborhood, B, C, and D. Okay, so an A neighborhood is going to be your gated communities, your big expensive homes, where a B neighborhood is going to be just down from that. That's going to be like in where your Targets are located, your casual restaurants, like an Applebee's or TGI Fridays. Then we get to the C markets, which is really the middle of the road. And that's going to have a blend of, a little bit of B. And then we move to the lower price neighborhoods. And to me, that's the D neighborhood. Then of course there would be the war zone neighborhoods, which I don't go in, but you really learn how to identify your marketplace by getting out into the market. And that's getting in your car and getting around. And for me, that was the most important thing to do every day. I would then gather leads. I would look for potential vacant properties, any for sale by owners, any for rent by owners. And I would come back and I would start working those leads. And I kept doing that over and over and over again, 5 days a week. And then eventually I get somebody, I want to sell. Great. Let me come look at it. Then I'd schedule an appointment. So if I wasn't driving that day, I was looking at a property, which is great. It's one step closer. So as I started to do deals, then I started to figure out, I'm running out of time. So I had to simplify my time. And that's where I got to market better. I've got it. And now I could actually afford marketing. We started from just driving neighborhoods to setting up multiple office locations, billboards, radio ads, but everything started with, I just got to go find deals. And to me, that is the most important thing everyone should focus on every day.
All right, last question, then we're going to let you go pick up your wife so she doesn't, put you out in the doghouse. Sean says, I love the Zapier idea. However, does REIPro allow us to segment our incoming leads like investor buyers versus lease option buyers, properties, and so on? Yes, Sean, right here on the dashboard of REIPro, you'll see this incoming website leads section. It does separate it into buyer leads and property leads. Now, the one thing that this looks like, these are just incoming property leads. Some of these probably are just testing leads. But what you'll notice is we have lead source, the state province. Now, this is a form. Whatever you have on your form, it could be multiple questions get fed in here. It doesn't have to be the exact same thing. I was trying to see if I had a test from something else, and I don't see it right offhand. But whatever field you put on there, so you could have a form that's an investor-specific form with all the questions related to an investor. And all those questions are going to come over here, and that'll basically separate it out for you. But we definitely separate out the buyers versus the property leads.
Yep.
Good and answer. That is it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And be sure we're going to have a big webinar next week. I am so excited to do this. And if everything goes well and you guys thought it was great, then we're going to continually do that as we move forward, because I think it's also important for other people to see, what types of deals are going on across the country right now. How are we working these deals? And you're going to start to see a lot of similarities, no matter if you live in California, if you live in the East Coast, a lot of similarities in these deals. And I think it's going to really help you. Because I always say the number one thing is to find deals. Number two is make an offer.
Yep.
Those are the two most important steps to me in our 10 executable steps. So thank you guys so much. Look forward to, we'll send the details out tomorrow afternoon. So keep an eye on that. We'll also send some more reminders next week as well. And how you can submit your leads. Bo, I'm calling you buyer. Hey, buyer. Go to the dashboard, buyer.
I'm on the dashboard.
So you know where we normally have this? You are on the dashboard. You know, I'm so used to seeing that banner right there.
You know, at 9 o'clock Eastern time, it just automatically cuts itself off until we schedule the next one.
Yeah, so we're going to have a new banner there tomorrow, hopefully before lunch. You click on that. There's going to be some instructions on how to submit the deal that we're going to analyze. So, but keep in mind, you got to attend. If you don't attend, we're going to move on to the next deal. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, I got to run. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks for joining. Have a good one.